Brian's Mobile One.
This water pump is a tricky one. This is a 7.5 liter Ford from '93. It's got all kinds of different stuff that you have to pay attention to, not least of which is this pipe. It needs to be running this way, but you also have an oil cooler that it pumps through first. So you have to get that onto the water pump first and then slip it onto the oil cooler without breaking it. And then there's three different lengths of bolts. If you put this bolt in this hole, it will break through the engine block and you'll have a problem. And then there's a bunch of shorter bolts. You also have to get this on, and you have to have all these clamps on. It's best to have the clamps on before you shove them into place. And there's a backing plate on this. So the backing plate you pretty much have to glue on. I've got a process for doing that with an ice cream bucket. Basically seal it on with Permatex Right stuff and then put the pipe on. It's a 7/8 inch wrench to get that heater hose pipe on. This is the old water pump. I'll explain where the different bolts go. So the pipe comes out here. This is the oil cooler for reference. So you'll notice that there's a character thing here and a flat plate thing here. So there's long bolts that are marked in blue. There's two that are slightly shorter than that. They're about 1 centimeter or 7/16 of an inch shorter. They go here and here. And then your short bolts, there's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's where all the different bolts go. So we've got 4 bolts remaining, and they are 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are your longest bolts. These other ones are for brackets and accessories or things like that. This is the one that's kind of the odd duck on the AC compressor and power steering pump one. This one's a stud, it's short, and it's a blow-through hole. Basically, you can use a longer bolt that's needed there. And then the other 4 on that bracket are all the same. So that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully this is helpful to you. Again, you want to put on the bypass hose, or the hose, that output hose that goes to the oil cooler on here first. And you want to also have on the other side a 5/8 inch piece of hose, and you want to measure that ahead of time. There's no nipple on this one, so I seal them on. I have everything really clean. And I put a little Permatex Right stuff on those nipples. Don't put it in the hose, put it on the nipples, and that way it won't plug up the hose. We had to replace these hoses because, and don't forget to put new good ones on. You can see how inflated and blown out this is. And then it's also starting to split right there. And then this is that bottom hose that goes to the oil cooler. So it would be on like that. And they all run just straight and even with it. They're not twisted out to the side or any other kind of funny thing. They're all really straight. Also, make sure you use good Teflon tape on that. Clean all the old stuff off before you put that on. When you go to hang the pump, so you've got 2 clamps on this hose. You've got that one. This one's already tightened up how it should be, and then that one's just tight enough to not fall off. You stab this on first. You'll notice that I use a topside creeper. It makes it a lot easier. When I do this, I have the pump in my hands and I'm just balancing. I step here, I go up to my forearms onto here. I get contact with my belly with that, and then I'm holding it with it. This is a handle, and I stab that one onto the thing first. I want to have a pick like this because it's easy to get the top, but the bottom's not going to want to play nice. I also put a little bit of spray silicone on the inside of that hose so it slips on easy. These already have Permatex Right stuff on the nipples, so they slide on good. But this one's already tight, and then this one's up next to it, and it's just semi-tight so it won't slide off. I put this on, and then about the same time I put one of the short bolts. Remember, this is a short one. I got 1, 2, 3, and then the 2 bottom ones, 4, 5. And then these 2 are the ones that are the medium length that are just slightly shorter. But I put that one in the top first, and I don't tighten down all the way. Then I go and put all the other bolts where they go, and then once everything's in place, then I tighten it the rest of the way. If you don't glue your gasket to your backing plate into your other gasket, because there's 2 gaskets, one on each side of the backing plate, you'll have trouble getting all the bolts to go through the holes. So this thing's a whole juggling act as it is. So gluing it in place with it still wet. I like the Permatex Right stuff for many reasons, but not least of which is that it's already got a lot of drag and friction to it, so things stay in place. I line up, when I'm putting the gasket and all that on the back, I use a pen, and I take the pen. These are my favorite pens anyway, the Pilot G207. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check that out. But it doesn't fit through the bolt holes. So when you're lining up the gasket, and this is flipped over to the back side, when you put this in it, it lines everything up. Both gaskets, the water pump, and the backing plate. 4 things at once. Wiggle it around, go to another bolt hole, wiggle it around, so on and so forth. And that way everything's all lined up before it leaves the table to be put into there. So if you like the video, be sure to let me know in the comments. If I missed something or didn't explain something you're looking for, let me know. There's one other thing I would like to add to this that has been a stumbling block for other mechanics on this one, is that bolt hole down at the bottom corner. So you can see the bolt hole right there. Somebody put a long bolt in that and caused a leak, but it's a little bit tricky one to get, because you can see where the air pump is down here. So you've got that little part that sticks out, and see how far down in you need to get. The bolt head starts past the end of the pump right there. So when you go to pull this bracket off, know to do that. I've got this tied up around the corner of the battery to this part of the fender, and that way it's out of the way, so that when you're doing your juggling install, that'll help you. So I think that's all the tips you need to know. Again, thanks for watching my videos. Cheers.
Bonus footage at the end.